Well, I would like you to take away the senseless, because those are words of poetry. But violence makes sense to somebody. That's why they cause violence, because it makes sense to fulfill certain goals of their own. So let's not be in that kind of a utopian mindset that violence is senseless. No, there is sense to it, a very cruel sense to it, but there is sense to it because a whole lot of things historically have been achieved with violence. So people know if you are capable of unleashing a certain level of violence, you will achieve your goals. So it is not senseless. Only for somebody who's looking at only the blood and gore and not seeing the design behind it, it is not violence by default, it's not like crime. This is violence with design, driving towards a certain point, and if we do not stop it or if we do not counter it appropriately, their designs will be fulfilled. So it is not senseless, it is sense, but unfortunately, it's senseless for the lives. About your soul, we need to understand this. Once we identify with something, whatever is our identity, of caste, creed, religion, nationality, once we identify ourselves with something, the very nature of human identity is such that we will start working for that identity. That identity becomes more significant than life at some point. We're willing to live for it, we're willing to die for it. It may be a family, it may be a nation, or it may be a religion or a race, but once you identify with something, that's how human mind works. To create a world beyond these identities, well, that's the ideal, that's what we all strive for. But is that reality close by? No. I'm not somebody who lives in a dream state. I live in this world, I know the realities of this world. Are we anywhere close to that? No, we are not. But today that possibility of taking ourselves in the direction of beyond identity kind of world, beyond limited identity kind of world is much more a possibility than ever before, because technology has made the borders of the nation, the borders that you set forth in so many different ways of societies is kind of broken and it's become very porous. Young people are communicating with each other, it doesn't matter there is war or peace, they're communicating with each other. So there is a much bigger possibility today of taking the world towards a humanity which identifies as humanity, not with race, religion, nation, whatever else. But right now the reality is, nation is the largest segment of humanity we can address for solving any problems. We are still not in that kind of state where we can address the entire globe. We have not come to that state where we will embrace each other and live in absolute joy or peace. That is not anywhere close. So nation is the largest piece of humanity we can address, so that identity is probably better than other identities within the nation. So in that context, national boundaries should have been settled, especially when we got our independence. We should have settled our national boundaries one way or the other. Little give and take somewhere and we should have done it whichever way. But we have not done that, we are still living with a LOC or line of control, which is all the time out of control. So fundamentals of making a nation, there are many aspects to a nation. One basic piece of it is sovereignty of the nation. That means we know where our nation begins or where it ends. When that is in constant confusion, then these fights become inevitable, unfortunately. I think it is time, one way or the other, we must settle as to what is our nation, what is not our nation. If we don't settle this, we will bleed generations to come.